that this council meeting is being recorded. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cobbon Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. I'll call the first item, applications for leave of absence. I have one from Councillor Walker. Could I have somebody move that, please?
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, second by Councillor Newsom. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have somebody move that, please, first of all? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Any declarations? Councillor Newsom? Yep, which item is it? Item 14, I think it was, is it? Yep. And you'll be leaving the chamber for that one. Councillor Batten?
Yeah, I'm declaring two. Item 11, where I'll be leaving the chamber, and 18, it's non-significant as MAG is a respondent to the local strategic planning statement.
Yep, okay, thank you very much. Anything further? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3, declarations for political donations. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Anything to declare? Nothing? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 4 is the Merrill Minute, which I will move, and I will table a report. Anything else for the Merrill Minute? Councillor Jones.
I'll just table the report of activities, please, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Trevors.
Yeah, on the 4th of June, I took part in a...
Microphone's on.
On the 4th of June, I took part in a video meeting for the Traffic Committee, which there's a copy of the minutes from that meeting that are comprehensively what was discussed at the meeting attached to today's papers.
Thank you. Councillor Newsom.
I've tabled my report.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Councillor Weaver. Table the report also. Anything further? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 5 is Committee of the Whole meeting. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Davidson, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Does anybody wish to call any items for the Committee of the Whole? Nothing? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 6 is the grouping of reports, and we'll be grouping items 7 through till 9. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Durkin moved, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that at all? No? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. We move now to item 10, which is the sponsorship policy. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Nash. Councillor Davison, you wish to speak to that at all?
There's only one thing I agree with. Better turn it on. I agree with the policy. The policy is a good one. There's only one thing in there about the exclusion of offending sections. It's on page 82 of the documents, and I think that it probably needs a little bit of extension on that to protect some sections of the community. It's a bit too broad at the moment, the way it's worded, and perhaps you might have some suggestions, Mr. General Manager.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think the section you refer to, if we changed the prelude to that point, I'll just find it for you. It's regard to unreasonable, if there's an unreasonable, a reasonable objection on the basis of fairness rather than just a general right trying to overturn a sponsorship decision. So we'll make, it's not a consequential adjustment. I'm sure we can make that and ensure the policy's right then.
Thank you, Mr General Manager.
Anybody wish to speak against that at all? No? All good? I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 11 is the Marlon Recreational Areas Draft Master Plan, and Councillor Batts declared an interest and is leaving the room. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Oldham. Any discussion at all? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Councillor Batten, you wouldn't have had time to sit down out there, surely? That recommendation was passed unanimously as per the recommendation. Sorry, that item. Item 12 is adoption of integrated planning and reporting documentation. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Davison. Any discussion at all on that?
I have a question, Mr Mayor. Do the figures in the operational plan include the revotes and the carried forwards, and have we got enough staff to complete all those projects, given that there's quite a deal of them now?
General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the revotes and carry forwards are not included in the annual budget. They will come through in the first quarterly budget review. The staffing wise, council is confident, and that's why it's in the budget, that we can deliver the projects. And we also have available to us means of a lot of the grant, for example, the grant projects, etc., in that budget, and that we've subsequently obtained, have to go out to contractors by some of the provisions of those grants, etc. So it's not all done by internal staff, as you'd be aware, but we're confident we can deliver on that.
Thank you, Mr General Manager.
Councillor Nash.
I've just got a question for the swimming pool on page 56. It just says there, remove disabled ladders and install lifts. I'm just wondering what that means. Manildra, Yeovil, Yagara, Molan, Cumnock pools.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the installation of the lifts is to comply with universal access standards. Only those ladders would only be removed if they were unsafe to allow for. So it would be intended that they would be replaced if they were removed.
Thanks, Matthew. We're just wondering, a lot of people say that they would go swimming in the pools, but they can't get in and out of them. I just thought that might have been a ramp thing you were talking about there.
Again, through you, Mr Mayor, the Council's currently commissioned a pools master plan looking at how we can undertake such measures as installing new ramps into the pool to allow for universal access. There isn't currently any money in the budget to deliver those, but we hope from this program we'll be able to map a future way forward that Council can consider investment in those projects. The master plans will also review plant requirements for chlorine dosing and so on, as well as other improvements that can be made. It's hoped that those will be in first draft completed around the end of July.
Can I say something move this item into
Yes, I will. I have a question in relation to 2.3 and 2.4 in the operational plan, where we say we identify business assistance programs in the regional economic development strategy, and 30% of that is to be measured by Q4. Can we have at a future meeting or workshop some indication of what is planned there, as well as what is planned for 2.4, which is supporting an increase of jobs in Cabon?
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, we can bring back that to council, and in the budget I think you'll find there is a provision in the next year's budget for the economic development plan to be re-looked at, strategy, and I'm looking at also the tourism strategy. We're looking at that next year as well, and how they can possibly combine, so that we can bring that back as in the answer to this area, and also we'll be presenting to council obviously in the next financial year how we're going to go about the economic development strategy.
Councillor Trevors, did you have a question? No?
No,
Yeah, right, thanks. Any further discussion on this
I've
matter?
got one more question.
Oh, Councillor Newsom.
4.4, 4.4.1a, where it says Molong Anzac Day program completed and wreaths arranged. I was just a bit intrigued as to why Molong's the Anzac Day is the only one mentioned there.
Sorry, councillor, can you just give me that number again?
4.4.1.8.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that relates, I'm informed, to a donation that we get from for the brochures for the its actual ceremony itself.
Oh, right, so it's not just relating, it says here about wreaths, that's all.
Yeah, so all
Yeah,
council areas get
I
wreaths.
thought they went to all the villages, but it says, the way it's reading there, it refers only to Molong, that's all.
Yeah, I think we can maybe put a comma in there somewhere for you, councillor, but we'll fix that up and make
That's
it
fine.
clearer.
That's fine.
Any
Thank
further discussion on that matter? Item? No? No? All right, well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. So we'll resume our normal meeting. Also, can I just have somebody move that we move out of committee of the whole? Councillor Davison, thank you. Moved, seconded by Councillor Durkin. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 13 is the making of rates and charges. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Any discussion at all on that? Councillor?
Question, Mr Mayor, if I may,
Your mic, Councillor Davis, please.
got the jolly thing. Just a question, Mr Mayor, regarding the combining both this and the 10-year plans that we have further on in the meeting. Has there been any consideration to a rate increase greater than the 2.2 rate increase that we've currently got, in view of some of the sections, particularly the water section? The figures don't look particularly bright.
Through you, Mr Mayor, for the record, no. There is no consideration of a special rate variation in the general rate. It factored into the long-term financial plan, and unless that was the will of council for me to start considering that, we would. With regard to water fees and charges, they are not subject to the same provisions as the general rate. We look at our fees and charges and pricing systems every year, and I know the Deputy General Manager Infrastructure is looking hard at our water, sewer assets, and indeed all our assets since taking up the position only a couple of weeks ago, but even since he's been here earlier. And we will be coming back to Council with a good assessment of that process, which may have some impacts on the potential pricing or loans that may have to occur, or what we do with those assets. But we would be coming back with a full business case as to where we are with those things. But the long-term financial plan at the moment is based on the assumptions that the Finance Department can make on the asset data we have available, but our capability and capacity in that area, due to a number of different factors, has been a little bit light on. So we want to get a bit more assurance in that area and come back to Council with a much more solid picture.
Please don't think that I'm picking on you, Mr. General Manager. I always ask that same question at the same period every year, just to ensure that we have looked at it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's fine, and hopefully I'll have the answers before next year.
Any further discussion on that? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 14 is the Events Assistance Program, and Councillor Newsom declared an interest and is leaving the room. So, could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, second by Councillor Durkin. Any discussion at all? No. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Councillor Newsom, that was passed as per the recommendation, and I don't think you would have time to sit down either. Item 15 is the Orange Regional Bicycle Tourism Project proposal. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Councillor Davison, you wish to speak to this?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I do, Mr. Mayor, just briefly. The Orange 360 funding for this is from New South Wales Government, or some of it, part of it, under the Growing Local Economies Fund. It really, in effect, brings forward a lot of our plans, our pathway plans and our PAMP plans around our shire, forward by about 9 years, which is quite good. It certainly recommends that in the tourism area, that tourism is one of our few growth industries in this shire, and this is the first part of this project. There will be other projects, hopefully in the very near future, to extend the bicycle paths to connect up all the villages. So this should be looked at first of all from the footpath and access point of view around our villages, and then a second part of it should be looked at when we can join up villages and eventually, hopefully, get a track all the way from Molong all the way through to Yeovil to join up to a Dubbo track as well, to take it to the zoo. That would be my vision for the future. I recommend this to all councillors. It's a very solid thing, and although it does indicate that we have to find some more money, I would certainly suggest that we can find the money, and I would be asking for your support in this matter.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to speak against it? Anybody else wish to speak for it? All right. Well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is the Pedestrian Access and Mobility Plan and Bike Plan. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, second by Councillor Jones. Anybody wish to speak for it?
Just a question, Mr. Mayor. Does this the budget for this for the PAMP plan, that forms part of the previous item, which was the Orange 360 bicycle plan? Is that correct?
That's my understanding of it. That's correct.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. currently funding for delivery of priority footpaths, which is the basis of the PAMP, is around $300,000 per annum. That is based on the priorities that are stipulated in the Pedestrian Access Mobility Plan. The program that's under the Orange 360 proposal is an acceleration of the priorities within the PAMP program. So yes, there is a contribution which is already allowed for in the long-term financial plan for this.
Thank you, thank you.
Any further discussion at all? No. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 17 is the naming of new bridge on Urimblo Road at Cumnock. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion at all?
Just one question. The recommendation is to commence the public exhibition process. Why don't we just put it on public exhibition rather than commence the process? Just publicly exhibit it? Or is it just terminology or something? Is it to commence a public exhibition process, do you have to do something before you publicly exhibit it?
I think it'd be a wording.
So I've never seen that before. Commence the process to publicly exhibit. Well, maybe there's some little traps along the way. Before
Through you, Mr Mayor, we'll take that on notice. It's probably to fire up the photocopiers, but yes, we'll take it on notice.
Any other discussion on the bridge matter? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 18 is the Cabonne Local Strategic Planning Statement. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Nash. Beautiful. Any discussion at all? No discussion? Well, I'd like to comment on, just say, a job well done by the team there to put this planning statement together. It's a very, very good document, so well done.
It's a very good plan.
Any further comments? No? All right. I'll put that in. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 19 is a development application DA 2020-0147, dual occupancy and building envelope variation at lot 100 DP 1083 100 Woolshed Lane, Windera. A mover, please. Councillor Jones, thank you. Councillor Oldham got in just before you as a seconder. Thank you. Any discussion at all? Nothing? Okay, I'll put that in. I'll need a show of hands. All those in favour? Against? Unanimous at 11-0. Thank you. Item 20 is request for donation equivalent to of development application fees DA 2020-0110 Cumnock Menshed. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by, there was a few hands there. I think Councillor Weaver beat you, actually. Any discussion at all on that?
Let me just make a comment.
Yeah.
I think in supporting it. I mean, this little project actually is, I think, a pretty good example of where something's done in a very efficient way in taking the old fire shed, which could have sat in the community and just as a redundant facility. These gentlemen have taken this and turned it into a very active little community facility, and so on that basis I certainly commend it to the council.
Yeah, totally agree. Any further discussion? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 21 is questions for next meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Does anybody have any questions for the next meeting? Councillor Nash?
Oh, through you, Mr Mayor, I just want to see if we can get a report on dangerous gum trees that are around the the Tugong, Witten Street and Park Street at Manilda, if I could have a report on that, please.
Thank you. Got that? Yep. Councillor Mullins, microphone.
Just one, appreciate it.
Microphone.
I've been asked to ask, there was a proposal to build 50 aged persons units up in Queen Street last year. It was not backed by I believe, the state government, but it's never been explained what happened, or certainly to this council. And I keep getting asked, and I said I'd better find out. So perhaps we could have a little report on what transpired there and why those were not successful. So I can satisfy the 50 people that want to buy one of them.
We might just, do you want a little verbal comment there? Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I think we did report on that to council at the time. We provided a copy of the Department of Planning's determination. That provided the, I suppose, the roadmap for the way forward, which means that we, part of it is the LSPS, where we're actually identifying the needs for the future of the community. That will follow through into the strategic planning that we're doing coming up in the next year or two that leads towards the LEP. So at the moment there's some discourse between this being a single development in isolation and how that ties into our strategic planning. And so we've been moving to bring those into alignment. The LSPS document that you've just adopted identifies the opportunity and need to provide lifestyle accommodation for older persons. And then by the time we go through the review of our settlement strategy and our LEP, we will be able to actually accommodate and clearly demonstrate to the department both the needs of the community and our ability strategically to respond to that.
That's in that report. I must have missed the report. Could you tell me when around what month that came?
Not off the top of my head, councillor, but I can send you a copy of it.
Thank you. Any further questions for the next meeting? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 22 is the business paper items for noting. Can I just have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Batten. Just a comment here on that, and it's been brought to my attention. And when I did read the papers, I did note our turnaround times on our approval for DAs was quite excellent at 20.5 days this month. Councillor Davison brought to my attention a media report in the Sydney papers that they were rubbishing councils about slowing down development applications and slowing progress down, but I'd like to commend our environmental team once again for their processing time, which is well below the state average, so well done, Chris and your team. Anybody else? Got any things for noting in the papers there? No. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 23 is matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Does anybody have any matters of absolute urgency? No? I'll put that then. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 24 is Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, second by Councillor Nash. We have nothing for the Committee of the Whole, so I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. All right, we'll move now out of our ordinary meeting into our closed